Hey everyone, my name is Shakrez, and Fi was kind enough to let me post on his channel today. On my channel, I'm known for my in-depth League videos where I look at items and explain why X is better than Y and so on. Today I'm going to do something slightly different. Instead of the usual item analysis, we're going to look at the most optimal way to build Corki. Now, Corki was one of the most contested picks in the World Championship, with 33 picks and 26 bans. That's a 93.7 pick or ban ratio, so that's very close to that 100% mark. Throughout, we saw many small deviations to his build, and giving some examples, Wild Turtle preferred going for Trinity Force into Last Whisper into Infinity Edge with Berserker's Greaves. Now, Zuna and Sneaky seem to favor similar builds, but never got as far. Deadly Brother, Exo, and Genja seem to prefer going for something like Triforce, Bloodthirster, and Last Whisper with Berserker's Greaves. San, Piglet, Prey, and Pushu were seen mostly playing Corki slightly differently than the rest, opting for Sorcerer's Shoes as their boot choice. As for the build, general consensus was Triforce, Last Whisper, Infinity Edge, or Bloodthirster, the latter being picked with less frequency. Not only that, but before Worlds we got to see Score from KD Rollster Bullets, the first player to bring Corki back into the competitive scene with the magic penetration oriented build in the OGN. So, why build Sorcerer's Shoes on Corki? Taking a quick look at his kit, you'll see that Corki does more magic damage than physical damage. What about his runes and mastery setup? Now, for runes, Corki runs similar runes to any other AD carry. As for masteries, instead of running the typical 21 points in offense, most pros using Corki, notably San, Piglet, Prey, and Pushu, run double penetration, because both Phosphorus Bomb and Missile Barrage do magical damage. So my objective today is to show you the best way of building Corki to ensure you get the most damage out of him. To do this, I decided to do a damage calculation on two targets. A squishy target with 43 magic resist, so something like a ranged champion with flat magic resist glyphs and nothing else, and then a tankier opponent with 100 magic resist. So each target will be hit by level 14 Corki, and I chose level 14 because it's usually when he gets Triforce and then either Bloodthirster or Infinity Edge. Now Corki A will have the double penetration masteries and Sorcerer's Shoes, and Corki B will have normal AD carry masteries and no Sorcerer's Shoes. So, let's start with Phosphorus Bomb, and comparing Corki A with Corki B, you'll see that if you run Hybrid Penetration Masteries and Sorcerer's Shoes, you'll be getting extra 34 damage on Corki versus a squishy target and 21 versus a tanky target. Moving on to his ultimate, Missile Barrage, I assumed you had Trinity Force plus Infinity Edge, and I listed Bloodthirster as the extra damage values in brackets. I'll explain why I chose Infinity Edge over Bloodthirster after the calculations. So, starting with normal rockets, you can see that the damage difference from Corki A to B is 25 on a squishy target and 16 on a tankier target. Big ones do have higher base and scaling, so the differentials here are larger, 37 for squishies and 24 damage for tanks. So let's put things into perspective. Let's imagine Corki hits a target with one Phosphorus Bomb and 3 rockets, and one of them being a big one. So if you're Corki A instead of Corki B, the 4 spells combined will do extra 121 damage versus a squishy target and extra 77 damage versus a tank. Also remember that we're talking about level 14 Corki here, who doesn't have his ultimate at rank 3 yet. The differentials would only be higher there. And now you say, but attack speed allows me to auto-attack more, and it's true, but Corki is an AD caster. He uses mostly spells to deal damage alongside Sheen-based auto-attacks, so when you're doing the damage rotation I mentioned above, it's really unlikely that you put in more than one auto-attack between spells. So attack speed becomes irrelevant on Corki. This brings me to my last point, why Infinity Edge over Bloodthirster on Corki if you barely auto-attack? Now, the simple reason here is because you still auto-attack. Of course that we're talking about Sheen-based auto-attacks, but they still count and they can still crit. Let's assume you auto-attack once between each spell. So that's 4 auto-attacks total after the 4 spells used in the rotation I talked about. With Infinity Edge, you'll have 35% crit, meaning statistically speaking, you'll crit at least once. As for Bloodthirster, you'll only have crit from Zeal, which is 10%, so getting a crit is really unlikely. So the most common situation would be for Infinity Edge Corki to get 1 crit out of 4, and BT Corki getting none. So assuming you're hitting another level 1480 carry with about 80 armor, you'll do an extra 108 damage with Infinity Edge, provided you get 1 crit on Infinity Edge and 0 crits on BT. And before you ask, what if I crit with BT and not with IE? It's possible, but it's actually much more likely to crit twice with Infinity Edge Corki before getting 1 crit with Bloodthirster Corki. However, if you feel like you have no peel at all and you really need the sustain, you should really opt for Bloodthirster. A good example would be Pushu against Cloud9. In the first game, he went for Bloodthirster on Corki because no one on his team, except for Zyra, was a reliable peel for him. So too long didn't watch, the best possible build on Corki with the mix of poke and all-in damage is going for Trinity Force into Infinity Edge into Last Whisper with Sorcerer's Shoes as the preferred offensive boot type. Remember though that if you're behind or the enemy is stacking armor, getting a Last Whisper as a second item will help you out more. That's all for today. I hope I didn't confuse you guys with all the numbers. I tried to keep everything very simple and easy to understand. If you'd like to subscribe to me, a link will be on screen as well as in the description. I'll see you guys in the Rift. Chakra is signing out.